today. The 4 years of the Biden administration, we saw reckless spending, trillions of dollars on partisan programs that drove up inflation. Average home or average family in America had to pay $13,000 more to have the same standard of living after Biden as they did before Biden. And so, Mr. Gordon, I think you reflected that in your testimony, that inflation was the primary driver of that. We've seen in Nebraska, when we're talking about these homeowner insurance rates, that the average home insurance premium has gone, is as high as now at up to $5,121 for a home valued at $300,000. The average home insurance annual premium rate in the U.S. last year was $51. So that's a difference of $2,970 that Nebraska pays higher in insurance premiums than the average in the rest of the country. That's a 1-2 punch for homeowners who have just experienced 4 years of high inflation, where we've seen all these costs for everything from groceries to gasoline go up, and then they have to pay that as well. Now, one of the things that we have in Nebraska is we do have weather. We've had since I was a kid. We had a 1975, we had a tornado that came through Omaha. We had another tornado came through last year, so about once every 50 years or so, we've experienced that in Omaha. But in Fremont, actually, 4 out of the last 5 years, they've had hail. Just recently, they had 4-inch hail. Now, unless we're talking about microclimate change, Fremont's a community that's 45 minutes from Omaha, yet that hail didn't really impact any other communities. It was just bad luck that Fremont got hit with that. So I think it's hard to say that climate change is going to be the primary driver of that. But Mr. Gordon, I wonder if you could comment on, do you have some thoughts on specifically Nebraska, why we've seen these homeowner insurance rates go up? Have you got any specific data with regard to Nebraska?
So we do have specific data on Nebraska. The NAIC just released, and we'll provide that to your office. I will just say Nebraska is a great place to live, and one of the trends,
I love living there. We got the best place in the world. I agree.
One of the trends we've seen accelerating after the pandemic is people moving to states and building nicer, more expensive homes. And then you add 40-year record inflation, and then you add on top of that even higher inflation in the building materials and supplies. And then you add a little bit from climate change and legal system abuse and so forth, and we've gotten about an 8% annual increase in the cost from severe convective storms like hail and tornadoes that are hitting Nebraska.
So the weather accounts for about 8% of that overall? Is that what you're saying?
So the increasing losses are about 8%.
Oh,
the climate change is only about 1% of that 8%. The rest is the 40-year record inflation and even higher inflation in the building materials and supplies.
Yeah. Mr. Epstein, do you have any data specifically about Nebraska and why we're seeing these big insurance premium costs?
Well, I think the most important data that hasn't been covered yet is just this, because we've heard repeatedly this claim that, it's climate change, extreme weather that's driving all these local insurance premium increases. But if you look at, we have macro data for measuring this kind of thing, things like accumulated cyclone and energy, hurricane frequency, hurricane intensity. And what we see is we don't see any significant changes in there. We do see some warming, but we're not seeing any significant changes. The hypothetical changes are in the future. We also see, adjusted for GDP, globally damages are not going up. So if we have an insurance premium thing, it's not going to be driven by climate. It's driven by other things, including lack of resilience and or subsidizing people to take on way too much risk. And it's really simple. Just we need to stop, through all these disaster relief things, we need to stop subsidizing people for taking risks and make others do it. That's just leading to all these cascading problems, and there's no way around that.
So, Mr. Epstein, if I understand what you're saying, one of the things you're saying is, hey, if you look over at least as long as we've got data, which is probably like the last 100 years, we've probably got really good data, and you look at the occurrences like things like tornadoes in Nebraska or hurricanes in the Gulf, they aren't occurring any more or less than they were.
Yeah, there's just not statistically significant trends. There's projections about the future of like storms will become 10% more intense and less frequent, which that itself is not very dramatic. It's just you can have mild change that's just not that discernible. It's just not that big a factor, and we have to be real about that. It's real, it's just small, and we don't even know if it's net negative in terms of these extreme weather issues.
Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that you also comment on, I'm actually running out of time though, is the insurance environment. And I just want to highlight in Nebraska, we actually have a great insurance department. We don't have some of the problems that you described, Mr. Epstein, with California with regard to that. And they really do a wonderful job. In fact, Nebraska is one of the leaders in the insurance marketplace. We have many companies that are domiciled in Nebraska because of our great insurance marketplace and great environment we have in the state. So I just wanted to give a shout out to my home state industry here. Thank you very much, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Cortez Masto.